Hey everybody, good afternoon. I was starting this painting of a fall scene in my area and thought this is a perfect example of the kind of color questions that we are going to discuss in Fredericksburg, Texas for my workshop October 9 through 12. And this is a perfect example. It's a fall scene and all of the colors are basically warm. So the question is, how do you go from these warm colors in the foreground to this middle ground to the background when everything is warm? It is not as simple as saying warm colors come forward and cool colors recede. That is true, but you have to ask yourself several other questions. One being, what is the intensity of the color? And then what is the temperature of the color? So what are the colors that you would use to mix these grasses? I have some colors on my palette, and I'm going to show you how I adjusted the grasses. So here is my palette with all my cool colors and warm colors laid out. I have already mixed some sky colors in addition to a warm gray for the background hill. And then I was just getting started with the grasses. So as you can see here, this is actually the same color that I put out. I made one big pile of this color. And to create this kind of a gold ochre color, it's titanium white and cad lemon, and there is some cad yellow deep in this as well. There is cad red light, and there is some ultramarine blue, a little bit of ultramarine blue to tone down the color, as well as some burnt sienna to tone down the color. So I got it the correct value by adding white. And then of course, white does also make your color a little bit less intense, less chroma. So I have this color that I think in terms of value and in terms of about the center portion of the grasses, the mid-ground area would be right here. So I divided up this color into three piles. And so this mid value, I'm going to leave alone. And before I started mixing, I thought I would show you guys how I'm going to adjust the back and the foreground of the grasses. And this is to get as much depth as I can within the ground plane, even though all the colors are warm. So let's start with probably the one that's going to be easiest, which is the foreground. So I'm going to compare this color to this middle color because again, I'm not adjusting this middle color. I'm adding intense colors. So add some cad red light and add a lot of cad lemon because yellow drops out first in your painting. Therefore, if you are trying to create an intense color for the foreground, it's yellow that you are adding. That is the intensity, which is different from warmth because red is really your warmest color on the color wheel, but yellow is the color that comes forward the most. It has the most intensity. So I'm adding a lot more yellow deep to this. And you should be able to see about now, there's a hot spot on my palette, but hopefully you guys can see that this color is quite a bit warmer than this color. Let me move this color over a little bit for you so you can really see it. You can see that now. I think I can go a little bit farther. I like to step back and take another look. I'm actually going to add a little transparent orange. This is a color that I use when I really need some intensity, some warmth. There. Now I feel like we're getting closer to the color that it really needs. A little more yellow, a little more transparent orange. When there is a pretty obvious difference in the intensity, the chroma of the color, without adjusting the value too much, then you've probably gotten to the right point. adding a little more yellow because I think it's going a little bit orange, and I don't really want orange. I want a yellow orange. I want the same color family almost, just different intensities. So maybe a slightly different color family. We'll add a little more transparent orange in that, because the different color families do make it more interesting. Now, if I was going to add additional color families to this foreground, I would add a lot of yellow greens, more intense yellows, other things like that to add to that color. There you can see that there's a difference between this kind of more earthy gold ochre and this intense yellow orange. So now let's get started. I will wipe that palette knife off because I don't want that intense color anywhere near this. This color is going to represent the back area. And that is really where people struggle a lot. One thing that I do, this is just a little, I don't know if you'd really call it a trick. It's some way that I can get to that back area quicker. I've already mixed my sky colors. This is a light red violet that I have for the horizon line. And that color is going to be next to these back grasses. So it kind of makes sense that that color could be in these grasses. So I would add some of that. And the violet is not opposite on the color wheel. It's not a direct complement. It's a split complement from yellow orange. And so and it works really well with the yellow orange. So notice as I'm adding that, it's really starting to gray down a little bit. It's getting a little light. I don't mind it to get light, but instead of adding more of the red violet now, I think I will add a little more red, little cad red light, little alizarin. We're really adding red to this back color. Notice how I add red. We're still keeping this color generally in a warm color family. It's just not as intense. It doesn't have yellow. As I add red, there is now proportionately more red and probably a little more blue as well from the red violet than yellow. The yellow is not taking over this color. If I add more alizarin and the color starts to get a little bit darker than I really want, then I can add some more white back into it. And as I add more white, that titanium white will also help me tone that color down, because titanium white tends to cool colors off as well. So now when I take a step back and I look at those three colors, I definitely have just a warm, sunny yellow orange, a kind of middle tone gold ochre, and then this kind of pinkish brown, really. If I think it needs to be pushed even farther back, I might add a little blue to it, or even some of this sky, like this, instead of going to the red violet, go to the blue violet and take a little bit of that blue violet, push it back even farther. This is why pre-mixing your colors can be very helpful, because if you already have those sky colors mixed and you're trying to find depth in the background of your painting, you have some colors to get started. So as I added that blue, it toned it down even more. So these three colors can work really well with each other to find a lot of depth within your painting. So I have already started blocking in this painting, and hopefully you can tell how the color changes from these really intense yellow oranges to this ochre to this more putty beige color that was created. Really helps start to show a sense of distance. Now that same kind of application for value and color intensity and color temperature needs to be applied to the trees and to every other part of the painting, but but this was a good start. So I just wanted to show you guys that really quickly. And also, if you are interested in the workshop in Fredericksburg, there are still some spots available. It is for both oil painters and pastellists, and it is October 9 through 12. You can message me, or you can go to the Fredericksburg Artist School website and you can get the information there. So happy painting. See you later.